Scott, I've been to, I don't know, 15 drafts. You've been to well more than that. I can't remember a one heading into the night that's more unsettled. Who will the Montreal Canadiens take at number 1 overall? Will they not overthink it? Will they just take Shane Wright? Do they have something else up their sleeve? And either way, what will be the reaction and buzz in this building?
Well, I do. I'm expecting that the fans will treat the moment with its proper respect, and whoever ends up with the number 1 pick, whether it's Shane Wright or whether the Canadians go a different direction, that the fans will be enthusiastic about it. But it is, and you and I were talking about this before, in talking to scouts and managers around the NHL, this might be the most fluid draft of all the drafts that you and I have been at together. And I think that speaks to, the lack of a identifiable generational player like a Connor McDavid or a Nathan McKinnon or Sidney Crosby. It doesn't mean there aren't good players. There are really good players available. But especially even through the top 10, I've heard people talk about the top 15. It's very fluid. And if you went from 32 teams and looked at their draft boards, I can guarantee you, no two would look the same, even through the first 15 picks.
Oh, I think it goes way deeper than that. I think teams are actually very excited to see how 15 through 40 go. Like, you could potentially get the same quality of player from 15 or 17 to 40. And not only that, and we've talked about this over the last number of months with Chris Peters, the uncertainty that surrounds sort of, the scouting process. And we'll get into that in a bit with Chris. But you look at, this is just, it's still not a normal draft year. And I think that's also a big part of it.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And I think it really does test, when you talk to scouts, and we always say this every year, how important the draft is. You cannot win in this league, not in the salary cap and certainly not in the flat cap league, if you do not draft and develop players properly. And that doesn't mean just hitting on your first round picks. If you don't come up with 2 or 3 players out of your 7 that you draft, then it's really hard, because you end up spending money in free agency, or you end up trading for a more experienced, more expensive player. You just can't make it if you aren't drafting and developing properly. And we see that. And the teams that struggle are more often than not teams that struggle with drafting and developing.
Right. And for a series of years. And I think the other interesting part about this draft, you mentioned the lack of a generational talent. The other part is we don't know what's going to happen. The best player that's picked in this draft might come at number 17 or 23 or 20. Who knows? This is a wide open NHL draft.